Welcome to Your Worthy Career, a podcast for women in pharma and biotech with me, Melissa Lawrence. I am a certified career and leadership coach with a master's in organizational psychology who has worked in talent and learning development in biotech to large pharma, from non-clinical to commercial. I help women in pharma and biotech create a career worthy of them. Whether you want to get clear on what you want, get a new job, get promoted, or be effective as a leader at any level, this is the place for you. Every week, you will get practical career strategies and mindset shifts to help you overcome the problems you experience at work so you can reach your goals feeling better than ever. Your up level begins now. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. I hope that you are enjoying your September. This is one of my favorite months. I really enjoy fall, so that's part of it. And all the fall activities like apple picking, and the weather's usually pretty nice. But the truth is, it's also my birthday in September. So it's always a big celebration. Ellen's birthday is the same week as me, so we always have a big celebration in our house. It kind of just kicks off a celebratory period. I feel like it's our birthdays, and then my daughter's birthday is in October, and then we're getting into the holiday season, and then my son's birthday is in January. So it's just kicking off a bunch of fun festivities in our home. And the kids are in school again, and I can't believe how much mine have grown. I'm sure you feel that way too if you have children in your life. I have a freshman and a senior now, so they're both in high school. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel old, I guess. It really goes by in a blink how fast they grow. Now, I could probably do a whole episode about that, but let's go ahead and dig into today's topic. Today, we're going to talk about how to stop the problems that you've had in your career from happening again. These nightmare experiences, stressors, and pain points that you've had, whether it's a horrible work culture, a bad boss, a time that you maybe sucked your life away, stakeholders who intimidated you, endless meetings where you never have time to get work done, overworking, whatever it is, whatever has happened in your career, whether it's small, crappy meetings, or big, the whole job just sucked. There is something you can learn from it. I was talking with a client recently, and she was telling me about one of her past jobs that kind of haunts her. She had new leadership come in to that role that seemed to kind of gang up on her. She felt kind of intimidated at times, made her doubt her capabilities and expertise. And this actually isn't that uncommon. I've heard from many clients who have had work experience that actually prevent them from advancing their career. And not because of what other people did to them necessarily, but because of the lasting impression that it made on them, and kind of this fear and doubt and confusion that it created when it came to making other career choices. One of my other clients had a terrible boss and then moved to a new company where she loves her boss, but she wanted a new role. She was feeling really bored, and her career kind of needed to have some more passion, some more purpose with it. She wanted to change departments into another area, but she was really hesitant to make that leap because she was scared that she would have a bad boss again, or even just not have as good of a boss as what she had. And because she had experienced what it was like to have a really terrible boss that was really toxic for her, it was almost worth it for her to stay put and not take that next step in her career. And that's actually partly why she had reached out to me for coaching to begin with. So this experience of having terrible work experiences can leave you feeling stuck, or just have this fear that the situation is going to reoccur. It might have you questioning your choices and how did I get fooled into that? How did I get into a role I thought was going to be something different? How could I have liked those people in the interview process and then realize how terrible they were? Did I miss something, right? All of that kind of over-analysis and doubt and just responsibility that you put on yourself for that can really prevent you from moving forward. It can really keep you stuck. So when I was talking to this one client recently, I asked her when she was sharing kind of this terrible experience that she had if she would do anything differently. If there's anything that she would do differently, kind of looking back on it. And she said that she had been kind of racking her brain and thinking about it for months, but she wasn't sure. She even had gotten feedback from another leader at the time, and that feedback kind of validated that there wasn't really much that she could do, that it was a personal attack, that she could maybe be more confident in her approach, but it was really more them and not her. So it left her just feeling like there was just nothing she could have done differently, and it was just a bad experience. And that can almost feel worse, right? Because if the situation is not in your control, if that is the outcome, is like, this just happened to me, this is not in my control, these people just treated me like crap, it was a bad work situation, a bad leadership decision, right? Then that's really scary, because then when you think about making a change, going into a new job, if you have an overall belief that things are just not in your control, that you can make the best decision, but at the end of the day, you're going to end up being potentially put in a situation that is like a nightmare, like, of course, that's going to really make you think once, twice, 1,000 times over about making any sort of move. So for you, you might have experienced something like this too. And that's why I wanted to make this episode, where you have had a bad experience. You know what you don't want in a role or a company or a type of project because of those bad experiences. And if you're like my clients, you're probably also wanting to grow and develop and be sure you learn from your experiences and don't repeat any mistakes. So I want to share with you what I share with some of my clients when they tell me about their terrible career experiences. And you can use this for yourself to reflect on a bad experience that you've had, whether it's a crappy stakeholder or colleague, a project that didn't go well, a relationship or boss issue, a meeting that flopped, or a presentation that didn't go well, just overall a role that you didn't like. So any kind of negative experience that you've had in your career that you just want to know what you could have done differently or how you could prevent them from happening again. So first I would ask, is there anything that you would have done differently? Really spend some time on that question. Is there anything you would have done differently? Reflect on everything that happened. If you could go back, would you handle it the exact same way? If it was a conversation, if it was the way you addressed a problem, like, is there anything you would have done differently? Is there anything you would have said differently? If you could do it over, would you do it the exact same way? Everything that you did, everything you said, everything that you were in control of contributing into that situation. Make a list of everything you can think of. Then, when you have that list, you can ask yourself, what was in my control? Where did I contribute to the problem? And that might feel a little uncomfortable, right? Especially in situations where we have like really crappy experiences. There's a lot of reasons why we might not want to think we contributed at all. And it's too much psychology to really break into on this episode. But you really just want to think about, like, what did you contribute? Like, if there was something you could control, if there's something you could do differently, what would that be? And then you can use that list of things that you would have done differently and continue your brainstorming. And maybe this will bring up new or different approaches or different ways that you could have dealt with some of the experiences that you've had. Now, I've had clients for months or years not know what they could have done differently. And it's not because they weren't trying to figure it out. They were, but when you ask, or when I asked them in this situation, it was just kind of like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. I want to know. I want to do better. I want to prevent this from happening again. I just can't think of anything. And in that place, you're more at risk of those situations happening again. When you know what you could have done, you'll prevent it, or worst case, you'll know how to solve for it if it comes up again. You'll know what you would have done differently. And so these questions, really just after this episode or pause this episode and really reflect on what you would have done differently. What was in your control and how did you contribute to the problem? I'm sure you will come up with at least one thing that you can take forward with you. So this also is going to put you back in the driver's seat. Because after her first response in this one client example being, I don't know, with some coaching and working through these and other questions, she discovered that although these leaders were pretty terrible, and her going through these questions does not justify their behavior in any way, there were 3 things that she identified that she could have done differently that would have gotten a different outcome. One was having established boundaries. So knowing what it is that she would tolerate, the hours that she would work, what she would say yes or no to, right? Number 2 is having clear expectations. It's really common to have assumptions on what people need or want from you, but having direct and transparent conversations early can help you be more effective and save yourself from a lot of stress. The third was to manage her stakeholder relationships differently, so she felt confident to advocate for herself and speak up in group meetings. Now, those are 3 very tangible ways that she can now learn from that experience. It helps her know what she wants to proactively work on going into her new role. She knows because she spent the time reflecting on this and knows now the importance of boundaries and clear expectations and managing difficult stakeholders. And so now we can have a plan that addresses these issues ahead of time, which will prevent the same problems from reoccurring. It's pretty cool, right? Because the alternative is to not know and not grow. So think about a recent bad experience you had and ask yourself, is there anything you could have done differently? And what was in your control? What did you contribute? See what comes up, what comes to mind for you. Then you have a growth plan right there, immediate answers, and what you can develop for the next time. Now, here's kind of a bonus thing I want to add in here is you can even use this approach to replicate things that you did well or things that you enjoyed that you want to occur again. So instead of thinking of a job or experience that was problematic, I want you to think about a job or experience that you loved, that you felt like you were in your zone of genius, that you were really energized by. And now ask yourself, what did you do that contributed to that experience? How did you approach your work? And what did you love about that role or experience? These answers can tell you what you want more of, what you want to replicate in a future role, and also show you gaps of how you're working now that are causing problems. If you were, let's say, going into a project believing everyone had the best intentions and you were actually enjoying your team, and now you're dreading the project and the team, that is going to impact your enjoyment, right? So how can you change that? There was a difference in behavior and your thoughts about your group and the way you approached your group, and that was changing your experience with the group. And so if you're feeling negative now, look at what you can do to change that. If you loved your boss because you felt personally connected to her, how can you feel more connected to your current boss? Right? It's like a mini data study on yourself. You're collecting information that is giving you clues into what you contributed to the things that have gone well and the things that haven't, and what you could do differently, and also what you could do to replicate the good. It's getting you out of thinking about things as just good or bad, but taking time to reflect what made them good or bad so you can learn and grow from them. This is eliminating the problems and bringing more joy to your career. All right, give this a try. Let me know how it goes for you. You can always send me a message over on LinkedIn and let me know what you tried from this episode. I'd love to hear it. Have an amazing week. I'll talk to you soon. Hey, the episode is over. I want to let you in on a secret. There are 4 hidden ways you can use to advance your career as a woman in pharma or biotech that your boss or HR doesn't want you to know about. These are strategies that are proven to work even after you've been told no. Save yourself so much time and advance your career on your terms by downloading the strategies at my website, yourworthycareer.com/hidden. They're completely free. Go get them now.